Gender norms are a set of rules that dictate how one should act according to their gender. For example, pink is for girls and blue is for boys. So who exactly made up these rules, and why do they exist? Today, I'm going to show you how gender is socially constructed and how each and every one of us that has grown up in the United States is a factor of this gender construction through social learning. I'm going to do this by taking you through a Walmart superstore and making close observations on children's toys. But first, let us get a clear understanding of what exactly social learning is. The social learning theory states that people can learn behaviors through a cognitive social process. This can happen in two ways. One way is through modeling behavior observed in social settings. Another way is through operant conditioning, where a child's behavior is strengthened or weakened as a result of certain rewards and punishments. Now we will take a look at the social learning theory in more depth as we go through Walmart's toy section. As we walk down the girls section aisle, you can see that there is one very dominant color, pink. Almost all of the toys are Barbies and other types of dolls. The dolls' facial expressions look very delicate with soft smiles. Pictured on the toy boxes are young girls playing with the dolls, brushing their hair or rocking them like a baby. In the boys section, we don't see any pink at all, more blues and greens. The toys are mainly things to build with, like Legos. There are a lot of themed toys too, like policemen, Air Force games, and sports games. The boys pictured on the boxes are either building or rough playing. For example, there was one box that had an advertisement of two boys sword fighting. I also noticed that the athletic section, although not explicitly marketed to one gender, was next to the boy toys rather than the girl toys. Because I was in a Walmart, which sells much more than just toys, I thought it would be interesting to go a bit further and compare children's clothing. Just like toys, clothes are completely differentiated by gender norms. Even in infant clothing, baby girls have clothes with hearts and smiley faces, while the boy clothes have printed characters with more aggressive facial expressions. So how does the social learning theory come into play with all this? From infancy, people are socialized into constructed gender norms. As children get older and begin to think for themselves, they can say, "My parents dress me like the kid playing on the box, so I should play with that toy too." This is an example of modeling, and advertisements play a huge role with that. Now let's talk about rewards and punishments. When I was little, I remember being rewarded by being taken to the toy store. Automatically, my parents would take me to the dolls and Barbies. Likely, I began to relate my good behavior with the reward of girl toys. To add to that, I remember being praised for sharing my dolls with my girl cousin, but I never remember getting praised for sharing my dolls with my brother or boy cousins. These are just some examples of forming behaviors through modeling and rewards. In regards to clothes, I noticed a lot of printed phrases were gendered. Usually girl praise includes sweetie, cutie, and gentle words like that, and a lot of girl clothing, printed comments about being cute and sweet were printed. Same goes for boys. Their clothing had comments about muscles and sports, something parents usually say when giving positive attributes to their sons. Now that we got a first look into a toy store, we can understand exactly how gender construction works according to the social learning model and how the behavior of children is strongly affected by it. This matters because childhood experiences strongly influence how people perceive the world in adulthood. Although being informed is important to stay away from being influenced by these norms, it is very difficult because of advertisements mainly, and just because of the way society works. I think that the most important thing parents can do is not to completely reinforce these constructed norms and help their child make their own decisions based on how they feel and what makes them comfortable and happy.